Yo guys, Vision here, back with more Call of Duty Zombies content. Today's episode will be around Firebase Z, arguably the best Cold War Zombies map, with a fairly simple to learn map, but fun to play layout, unique features, and an entertaining Easter egg from the story, the wonder weapon with the Ray K, as well as the boss fight itself, as well as the elite zombies in this map, which make it definitely difficult and challenging, as well as the trials. And this is episode 18 of the zombie series, with all of the previous episodes on my channel. So on that note, without further ado, let's get on into it. So first things first, as usual, we'll kick this video off with an initial overview of the map. I do think it's a great map personally, and surprisingly very fun to play through, despite all the backlash that I've seen from fans and expectations going into this. I would say I had probably medium to almost low expectations, which I definitely think this map met and achieved even higher than. I would just say Cold War in itself definitely had a stigma that when coming back to this, because I only played Cold War back in the day when it was out in its prime, but I did not play any of the DLC maps. So coming back to this game, I didn't know what truly to expect other than from what I've seen from others. But so far, I would say it's definitely been good. I would recommend it. I definitely would say if you guys are if you're fans of Black Ops 6 or going into Black Ops 7, if you like Black Ops 7 Zombies as well, then definitely give this a try if you want to go back to these games, because obviously it's the new salvage system where they sort of incorporated this for the first time, and this is where you're going to get a lot of similarities. I think as for like times played, I've only played this map like 3 times total. This was the second time sort of attempting the Easter egg, and getting to play this multiple times is like a good thing that I think personally. So only playing it 3 times means I'm not really going to have a strong feeling for it later in the series, whereas maps where I fail Easter eggs or just play them multiple times throughout, whether I enjoy them more or for whatever other reason, whether I play them with friends, whatever it may be, then that tends to sort of lead to me liking the map more. So maybe back in the future, we might have to come back to Cold War and go for high rounds or something, just to give me a better feel for the map in itself. But to be honest, going forward, I'm not really sure this will even be a map I come back to for certain. There's just so many other great maps in the series so far, at least that I've played, as well as future maps that could potentially come up. But I did enjoy the experience of playing this map, figuring out the Easter egg and the boss fight itself, even though it was far too easy in my opinion, which we'll go over at the end of the video. And I'm not sure it's meant to be that easy, but I just sort of felt like there was no real challenge, to be honest, throughout this. Although Cold War Zombies is different to other games so far in the series with the movement, I had sort of wrong settings on initially, so it felt very clunky. And towards the end of the playing the Easter egg out, I was like, I have to go look at these settings and make this movement feel a bit better. I appreciate I am using an LMG in this as well, and that is probably weighing me down, and it just maybe feels a lot worse because of that. So it's all amplified. But at the same time, coming from Black Ops 6, where the movement's a lot more advanced, and even in Black Ops 4 and Black Ops 3, those games have just had better movement. And I am a bit of a movement guy. Like I am a faster player just generally on online or even in Zombies, so I do tend to sort of lean towards that. And I have been around since World War, so I'm not saying like old school Zombies where movement wasn't necessarily a thing is an issue. I just tend to prefer games with faster movements, or at least fast engines, at least in modern day games, because that's what I've come to become used to, and that's just generally what I like. But I think just having the settings on wrong, so it just gave me the wrong feel straight away from the get-go, and it felt really slow, and I definitely felt like the map was just way harder because of that, because zombies just kept getting grabs on me, so I was ended up weak so quickly. Obviously you have no armor versus Black Ops 6, where you just constantly seem to have armor once you get your level 2 vest. Just things like that just generally just add to the feel or the expectations of the map when you're playing it out. But just as a ranking, I'd say initially so far and as of right now, this is probably a sort of middle C tier map. There's a lot of features on this map that have C tier ranking. But to be honest, I don't really think it has any B tier potential. I don't know whether that's harsh to say, but I also do not think could be ranked any lower. Like I think D tier would just be unjustified and just not worthy of a D tier map. Like it is decent, it's just better maps that I've played so far, and that's why it would rank that low. It's still a fun map. It's still something I would recommend, and still glad I played it. And I'm looking forward to playing the next 2 remaining maps in the DLCs for Cold War as well. But I would need to play this map more in the future and get more of a feel for the maps in previous CODs as well to truly determine where I rank this map all the time. But I would say this is arguably a top 3 Black Ops Cold War map. I'm just not sure until I play the Mao Zedong or the Forsaken map, and whether this is going to be the #1 map. And I hope it's kind of not, because typically maps do often get better through the game, and then maybe at the end they drop off. But with it only having 4 maps, I'm just kind of hoping. I'm not going to be playing the Outbreak stuff. I'm literally just going to be playing Mauer and Forsaken. So I'm hoping Forsaken maybe is better. Like I have literally not looked too much into those maps yet. I'm going to sort of research them as we sort of progress into those maps. So at the time of recording this, I haven't played them, which is quite a bit in advance of when this video is going to be coming out. Whereas you guys are probably going to be seeing this video as Black Ops 7 is probably out and arrived in this sort of in the game in itself. But we've just completed Black Ops 6, so now I'm on to Cold War, and that's kind of the goal. Like I'd say this map is fun, different with the village sort of style spawn, the portal, and the military compound. It doesn't feel like it's been done before as some maps have, so I will give it that. And I do like that it's very unique. But I felt like it was just too large with so much wasted space in my opinion. But because Cold War, like that era, and it takes place in Vietnam, the map's atmosphere just does feel a bit too toned down as well. Even though there's great features, the colors are cool, but I just think all of it in itself, coming from Black Ops 6 as we work backwards through the games now, whilst then simultaneously playing Black Ops 7 Zombies on its release, as well as the intended plan to carry out all of the previous Easter eggs on Cold War, seeing as we completed Black Ops 6, which, by the way, was amazing. In case you guys weren't aware or haven't tried them out, I was a big fan of Black Ops 6 Zombies, and I'm super looking forward to actually playing Black Ops 7, because I do think it's going to continue in the right direction. And then, of course, we'll head towards, or going backwards, I guess, completing the Black Ops 4 DLCs, the remaining ones that I haven't done, as well as the Black Ops 3 ones, like including Chronicles as well, and then finally any remaining Black Ops 2 ones, and then maybe even go on to the likes of Advanced Warfare or Infinite Warfare, which I've heard is really good as well, and then wrap up the series and determine the ultimate ranking of the best Zombies map of all time and per title. Because to remind you guys, the ultimate goal for this series is to complete all the Easter eggs and just play every map in itself, and then eventually get to be able to create an ultimate tier list with all of the evidence of ranking and talking about all the videos throughout, which will take some time, of course, because I'm doing it on a weekly basis where we create one video a week, and then going through to all the way to the end, which could take us like another 6 months, who knows, and then eventually we will have the ultimate sort of lore backing up where I rank maps and why, and we'll have all the evidence on the channel in a playlist where you guys can go check out any sort of reasons or where I rank maps, and like things like Horizon Jack or Gore Craven Black Ops 3 or Origins for Black Ops 2. These are sort of like my favorites to give you guys a bit of a taste or an idea in case you guys are new to the series. Now back to this map, of course, there is no elemental weapons in this map, which usually does hold more weight for me in any map ranking or replayability, although it has the Reiki, and honestly I was pleased with this one weapon. It's not insane or OP or anything like that, at least from my personal opinion. It's completely viable, it's fun and easy to use with plenty of ammo and two methods of dealing direct damage or AoE. It's just a great gun. I do think this is a really cool one. I was pleasantly surprised with this one, and the map in itself at first was difficult to get used to, as it is pretty difficult to be honest at like getting used to Cold War Zombies, as I said earlier, with both the movement but also just the game in itself. But I did have an enjoyable Easter egg experience that just both followed the journey and also the story in itself, and the boss fight is definitely cool. It's more so cinematic than I would say challenging. Maybe on the map's prime on its release, I imagine it was probably harder or more challenging, but definitely more satisfying. But I guess the map's not aged particularly well in my opinion, so maybe that's like a flaw that I would say holds this map back, at least versus the rest of the map so far in this series up to episode 18. I would say this is probably the weaker map, or one of the weakest maps that I've played so far. And now that I'm hearing this, it does feel like I'm being negative towards this map. I'm really not. At least I'm not intending to. I did enjoy this map, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying this is one of the weaker maps out of the 18 that I've done so far. It's just definitely, it's an enjoyable map, especially so far on our journey. There's just so many other maps that I've played that are more memorable, and definitely some maps that I would come back to more so than this, even at the bare minimum. Whereas there's obviously a lot of higher expectation maps as well from games like Black Ops 3, even Black Ops 4, and then of course Black Ops 6 as well, which I really enjoyed, and not even to talk about Black Ops 2 and 1 and even World at War. So yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of maps, and like I said, it just ranks at the sort of lower spectrum of that. And then as for like the map specific details, like I said, it's a large map with interesting areas and features. All are kind of mostly used in the Easter egg, but not very much. Like, you just have to go to one side of the map. But there's so much running around, which I'm not really sure I am enjoying, especially, like I said, with the movement. Maybe that adds to it. But as for high round potential, I haven't actually attempted one personally, but I can imagine it would play out as one of the harder high round maps, at least in Cold War Zombies in itself. It doesn't strike me as a high round sort of game in itself. But to be honest, I'm not one of those high round players, so maybe it is. And if you guys have tested it yourselves and you guys are watching, you guys are high round players, let me know down below. Is this a high round map? Is Cold War a great high round Zombies map or a game in itself? Or also, what is your highest round on this map if you guys have attempted one? Let me know down below in the comments, because I would be interested just to see generally on how players get through high round experiences on these maps. And as for Cold War itself, like I said, I'm all for the new zombie style. I don't mind the change. I've been around since World War, so that's not coming from someone that's new to zombies. It's also not coming from a stubborn, like, typical old school player. Like, I genuinely am for the change. I like the different styles, and I don't mind that the game's changed in its own new way. Obviously, this was when they first introduced the new armor system, the salvage, the essence, all of that new aspect of zombies. And one of our previous episodes in this series was episode 7, which was for D Machine, the first zombies map, of course. I actually really liked that map. I love that it had elemental weapons as well, and I just think that the fact that it was obviously nostalgic for the Nukta and Totem purposes, I think that map definitely holds more weight and just generally was a really good experience and got me like nicely into the tone of playing in Cold War. But then I think the downside was that I've then gone back to other games, because like I said, it's 11 episodes now from this point onwards, and I've played other games as well. Don't ask me why I've planned it out this way. It's been planned out for certain reasons and for certain different timelines and the way I've sort of planned it out. But I would obviously have liked to have just played all of the games leading up to Black Ops 7 or whatever in an order, or in a different order, maybe going backwards. But the way I've done it, I think just definitely adds to how I've sort of felt playing Cold War. So maybe the next time I come back to Cold War Zombies, I will just play all 4 maps in one go together, which for the final 2 maps is technically what I'm going to be doing, as well as Black Ops 7 anyways. And then, like I said, as a reminder for this series, the ultimate goal is to complete every single Easter egg for maps that have them that are applicable. Any main story quest is the ultimate goal for the series. I cannot upload the video to you guys and show you guys and talk about the map unless I complete the Easter egg, which means, of course, doing the boss fight, completing the boss fight if it obviously has one. And unless it doesn't have, like, let's say World at War, any of those maps, or of course the Kino Totem, which are all of the episodes on this channel and in this series, then I obviously just would have played the map and just giving you guys my sort of thoughts and expectations of those maps. But any map going forward typically always has an Easter egg, and that is always something that I have to complete in order to share for you guys. And also a reminder, this is not a guide, but for the rest of the video, I'm just going to talk about the Easter egg in itself, my experience, the journey, and what you have to do. But like I said, not a guide, so in case you guys are looking for that, that's not what this is. So just to give you that, guys, out there. Now, as for the Easter egg in itself, it's pretty straightforward. It's a bit long-winded in terms of how long it can take, but it's not really that complicated, especially, or at least not for myself, who sort of understands the general concept of what you're meant to be doing on this map. So typically, as always, you start. You need to get the power on or the pack punch open, so you have to complete the 3 ether reactors around the map once you go through the teleporter through the village. You then need to speak to Ravenov once you've done that in the village. You then need to head back to mission control and speak to Peck. You then need to obtain the key card from Ravenov, go back to him again, so obviously a lot of running around, as I said, and open the 3 lockers around the map. One is in spawn next to the quick revive machine, one is in engineering area, and one is in the colonel's office. Place all 3 of those compounds in the field hospital vacuum device, and then defeat the hellhounds that will spawn in. Then go and collect the agent delivery system, the gas device, and place that above the AC on top of Peck's office and watch him do the boogie. Literally, you could just stand there and watch him dance in the purple smoke, and then collect the essence traps around the map and obtain the mimics through exploring the map. And where you'll find equipment or streaks, etc. on the floor, you'll then encounter many different mimics, and you'll need to capture them using the new device. It's a real tedious step in my opinion. I kind of just kept capturing them in various different areas where possible and didn't necessarily figure out a strategy other than I found one in this area, let's go to another area and try find another one. And then each round by round, you tend to have just finally done it. And I'm not really a fan of, like, it just eventually works, and I'm not really a fan of these type of steps, to be honest. Like, I kind of like a bit more of a methodical step, or maybe more time trial steps or something like this right here, where you're doing a survival wave, which I'll get into in a second. But like, I just don't really like the time consuming, tedious ones where it burns through rounds. But of course, it is only one big step, so we'll move on and we'll not talk too much on that. Then you also need to juggle getting this map's wonder weapon, the Reiki, as well as this for the final steps, which you can of course get through the mystery box or also through time trials in the legendary rewards, but you can get it the free method way as well, which there are guides out there. And then once you get this, by getting the blueprint off the wall, collecting the eye, which is pretty graphic as well, the barrel attachment, the mangle arm, you do have to do the little dartboard step as well, all of that, then placing together, you'll be able to create this map's wonder weapon, which, as I said earlier, is very fun and cool. You'll also then need to obtain a shovel from one of the bunkers out in the scorched defense area. You'll also need to collect the ether meter from Peck once you spoke to him, then start scanning the 3 areas on the map and collect the 3 canisters. The first one is in the jungle defense, where you have that little dome and survive the white wave of zombies that we just saw. The second one is the white container in the open lab sort of lot area, which is a bit of a weird step. Like, there's 12 to 15 canisters, maybe even more. You need to pick the right one, which only has the white appearance inside of it with all the like white little dots. Any black dots in there means you cannot take it, and I guess that means it's like corrupted or whatever. And I did manage to do this thankfully first time, because I had sort of watched on the guide that it can sort of create just added stress for next rounds and just delay the rounds and stuff like that. So I managed to sort of lead the zombie away on solo, which is such a pain in the ass to do on solo. It's something I hate about doing Easter egg solos, that you have to always manage training the zombie, especially for steps like that, or like whether you're doing like a Morse code step from Blood of the Dead or whatever. It's just a pain in the ass having to do these things. But yeah, we eventually did it first time, and then when attempting this Easter egg on the second attempt, thankfully I did this on my final, like, this was the second attempt doing the Easter egg, so my third attempt playing the map, and it was my final attempt because it was like 2:30 a.m. and I was shattered and I just wanted to get it done so I can move on to the next maps. But the final step was where you have to basically go over towards the barracks. You'll need the Reiki at this point, as I said. Digging this final canister up will then make it move. You then need to use the Wonder Weapon's disc shot to collect the disc in itself, the final canister, and then you'll need to place all 3 canisters into the starting reactors that you open up at the start to get power on through the ether reactors. Go into the OPC room, that new massive sort of ball in the air, the sphere, and then carry out the satellite step, where you'll need to basically direct the satellite into the unknown area, and you'll be able to teleport into the boss fight. Now, in my experience, I actually went back to village rather than going up to the machine to activate the boss. I went back to the village to go set myself up. Didn't actually realize what was going on until maybe about a minute or two once I was in the spawn. The game just started, the boss fight, and I was like, oh my god, am I even prepared for this? I didn't actually realize until I started fighting the boss that it was super easy. I was expecting something far more crazier. It looks so cool. This boss is amazing, visually incredible. The area in itself, the spawn area, is decent. Like, I guess it's just hardcore, so I'm not downplaying it. It just wasn't really cool to run around with the weapon layout setup I had. But all in all, I do think this village area is definitely cool, and I do think the boss was incredibly looking. Visually, it's a real spectacle, nice to marvel at and just sit back. But at the same time, it got melted. I was using the PAP 3 Stoner, not even Legendary variant, just the Epic, and it got absolutely shredded, as you're seeing right now. And I guess that kind of downplayed my expectations on the finale of this map. And It's not like I was looking for a challenge to a degree, because like I said, it was late and I did just want to get it done, so I was really relieved. But at the same time, I was expecting more of a challenge, and I kind of thought this would be just like a really challenging boss fight just based on the appearance. But yeah, not going to take it away too much. Like I said, it's a C tier map. I will eventually come back to this and rank it itself. Like I did enjoy this map, and I did really enjoy the experience of this. I think Cold War in itself is good in my opinion as a summary. It doesn't deserve any hate in my opinion. Like it definitely is a good zombies experience, and that's not even saying it's my favorite, because funnily enough, I'm not being a hypocrite, it is my least favorite, but that's not saying it's bad. Like I am out here playing this, like I said, even late at night, and I am enjoying doing these Easter eggs. But it just so happens that the rest of the series, the rest of the Treyarch games, just have better games. Like Black Ops 6, the one we just talked about, is one of my favorites. I do like that. Black Ops 4, also incredible. And then we're not even going to talk about World at War to Black Ops 3, because they're just peak. They are absolutely incredible. From World at War all the way through to Black Ops 3, it was just the best, and we all know where all those games lie in their era. So we'll leave it at that. But Cold War itself, I would say, yeah, probably is the weakest of all of them, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It is definitely still worth playing, and I would highly recommend this map. I did enjoy this. I really had a great time playing this experience and completing this Easter egg. It was definitely not difficult, to say the least. I definitely, like I said, I would recommend this to anyone to play this out for the first time. But with that said, that's the video in itself. As always, if you have enjoyed, do not forget to like and subscribe, as I'll massively appreciate it. I'm a small creator, as you can see, and if you have any comments, tips or tricks about playing zombies, or even any suggestions about future videos that you might want to see on the channel, let me know down below in the comments and I'll go right back to you. I'm Vision SGN. Hope you enjoyed the video and found this useful, and I'll see you in the next one.